Hey guys, tonight we have 10 Reddit stories to help you sleep. So get comfy as we start the first story of how this girl's cousin almost ruined her wedding. Story 1. My cousin didn't want me to get married. My fiancé, 23 male, and I, 24 female, got engaged in April. We picked out a very special day to honor my best friend who passed away last year, his birthday. Everyone in my family knew about our engagement, and they were excited for us. Several months passed, and we were able to get the wedding venue we want, and I was even able to find the dress of my dreams. It seemed like everything was going smoothly, until my cousin, 24 female, got engaged. At first I didn't think too much about it. I was just happy for her. A few days after their announcement, I get a call from my mom, and she told me that my cousin picked the exact same day and refused to change it. When we asked why, she said, "I refused to get married before my other cousin, and that is the soonest we can get married. I am not changing mine, so me, will just have to change it." This has been going on for a few weeks, and my mom has lost sleep over it. My dad is at the point of cutting all contact with them, and every time I think about it, I get sick. It really bothers everyone that she values one family member over the other. The worst part is my great-grandma now has to decide if she's going to my wedding or hers. If this day didn't mean so much to me, I would have caved and changed the date. But I had my wedding date picked out first, and everything is already paid for, including my wedding dress. Am I the a-hole? Edit. After 5 days of being engaged, she is claiming that she already paid for her church rental and venue rental. Her parents keep saying they will work it out so that we can both get married the same day, meaning they are expecting me to get married at 8 a.m. so she can get married at 2 p.m. Even after explaining the importance of this day, she refuses to change it. Verdict: not the a-hole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm not sure if I understood her reasoning correctly. She does not want to marry before you and you should change the date. But what if you change your date to something later or postpone it an entire year? Ops comment. No, she doesn't want to get married before her other cousin on her mom's side. My date is for next year. I'm not postponing it any more than it already was. Please tell me you are planning on not attending her wedding. She sounds horrible. Ops comment. No one from my family will be attending her wedding. She has made it clear that she does not care who she steps on to get her way. Top comments. Not the a-hole. You had the date first. She can't push you off it. Any drama is her doing, not your doing. F*** her. Also, a not the a-hole, but if you're going to f*** cousin, f*** her hard. Tell great-gran there's no pressure to attend the actual wedding, but set up a fancy luncheon date with her beforehand. Tell her you understand how hard it is to choose between you, so you're giving her a special day to take away the stress. Bring your dress for a first look try-on. Ask your venue if they have a marketing video you can watch together. See if your service providers, florist, baker, caterer, can contribute anything, even photos or a video, for a reasonable additional fee. Ask your great-gran about her wedding. Look at photo albums. Ask for happy marriage advice. I did this with my best friend's mother. She was doing chemo and couldn't attend my wedding, and I promise that if great-gran is a nice person, it will be one of the most wonderful and memorable bonding experiences you'll ever have. As a bonus, you'll be so far up on the high road that your shitty cousins won't be able to touch you with a 10-foot pole. Don't forget to take heartwarming pics of that day, and have a friend post them to your socials 15 minutes before your cousin's wedding. Update 1. 4 years later. I just got off the phone with my great-grandma, and she is holding out that someone will change dates. My mom also informed me that my aunt and uncle, her parents, are expecting me to change the date of my wedding, and within the next couple days I will be getting blown up with threats if I don't change the date. Update 2. I am now pondering to move the wedding one day forward, since her pastor won't do weddings on Fridays due to the church being reserved for a study group. This also honors my friend because him and I were very petty. It also allows my grandma to go to both weddings and will give my immediate family an excuse to not go to her wedding because we will be too tired. I don't want to move my wedding date, But as I don't want to cause any more stress on my grandma, since she is very old and fragile, I just don't think she can take any more stress. Edit. She refuses to have one. Plus, none of the priests in our area do Friday weddings. Not final update. My fiancé and I have decided to change the wedding day forward. After weighing the pros and cons, we have decided that's for the best. After speaking with my great-grandmother today, I couldn't let her worry any more than she already is. I love the idea of having our wedding on the 22nd, but it isn't worth the worry and stress that my grandma is going through. At the end of the day, I want nothing more than to just get married to my significant other. So the date changing isn't going to affect my end goal. Thank you all for taking my side and helping me come to the final conclusion. Actual final update. I had honestly forgotten about this post until I got a random notification from it. It wasn't just my cousin who decided to pull wedding shenanigans. A month before my wedding, my future brother-in-law and now ex-sister-in-law decided they wanted to get married only 3 weeks after us. This put so much stress on my in-laws and made my mom so furious that she decided to give everyone assigned seats at the reception to make sure they were not allowed to sit next to each other the entire time. Way to go, Mom. Wedding dramas aside, our wedding was absolutely gorgeous. We decided to move the day forward because my cousin wasn't budging on moving the date, and I really didn't want my great-grandma to be sad about missing one of her granddaughter's weddings. For the middle of October, it was sunny and 70 degrees out, and as we said our vows during the golden hour, 2 rainbows formed right over us. It was absolutely perfect, and I couldn't have asked for a better day. As for her wedding, they were both faced before walking in that church, as well as the priest. My great-grandma was so disappointed she called my grandma to come and pick her up at 6. They are still married, but everyone kind of just ignores them now. My cousin and I are still at odds, but we seem to be more civil now, because I just don't have the energy to fight over something that's in the past now. As for me and my husband, we have since moved into a house that we can now call our own. We adopted another cat and are very happily married. I apologize profusely for leaving everyone in suspense for 3 years, but I'm glad I can finally put the stress of wedding planning behind me and just enjoy my cozy, quiet life with my husband and fur children. Story 2. My friends hate me for getting married. My wife and I have been married for close to a year now. She was born and raised in India her entire life, while I have been raised here in America since I was 4 years old. As you all saw in the title, this was an arranged marriage, and I met her around 2 weeks before the wedding. Despite not knowing each other for a longer period of time, we have grown very close, and I care for her deeply. My main group of friends, however, many whom I have known since college, have joked and made fun of our marriage, and my wife. For example, we were at a dinner party a couple months, and my friends were talking about something. My wife then commented, but because she has a pretty pronounced Indian accent, she butchered a few words, and everyone laughed and began to impersonate and make fun of her. I could see how much this hurt her, and for the rest of the night she was silent and later on asked to leave early. This was the only time this occurred in front of her, but many times when I have gone out with my buddies, they casually make fun of her accent, or her confusion, when it comes to American traditions and customs. And every time I tell them enough, they say, "I'm just joking, man. Chill out." Or "Don't take it so seriously." In addition, there have been a few times when I've gone out or talked with coworkers, and when they begin to talk about or complain about their relationships, and I chime in, they basically ignore or make snide remarks regarding what I have to say. I specifically remember one time where a coworker said, "What do you know about marriage? Yours is not even an actual marriage." I suppose I'm asking for help on how to deal with these sorts of comments, as I'm sure more will come throughout my marriage. My wife is naturally just very shy, so I know she won't try and defend herself when shit like this happens. She hasn't been able to make any friends since coming here, and refuses to come out with me because of my friends. I know she feels homesick at times, and I really want to help her come out of her shell, because she's a wonderful person and her happiness is extremely important to me. So I suppose I have 2 questions. How can I deal with my friends and coworkers? And how do I help my wife gain more confidence and come out of her shell? TLDR. My wife and I are in an arranged marriage. My friends and coworkers have mocked and made fun of both her and our marriage. How can I deal with this? While also helping my wife feel better and more confident. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How can I deal with my friends and coworkers? Firmly, but politely. I'm just joking, man. Chill out. You might be joking, but I am not. Don't take it so seriously. That is my wife you are talking about, and I am taking it seriously. And how do I help my wife gain more confidence and come out of her shell? Are there any interests your wife has, and are there any clubs in your area that correspond to her interests? Are there Indian communities in your area? Also, you might want to do a fun activity together, like dancing, assuming she likes to dance, or go swimming or cycling together. Preferably something outdoorsy. Ops comment. Yes, in fact, there is one Indian community club she has been interested in joining. I'm hoping she feels a bit more at home there. And she really enjoys cycling. I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you. Commenter 2. I have to agree, your friends sound like a holes. Have they never met or known anyone for whom English is a second language? Have they never traveled to a country they didn't know the language? I'm horrified they'd mock her accent. If you want to remain friends with them, then you're going to have to shut down those comments. I was joking. Answer. It's not a joke. It's very rude and hurtful. Your marriage isn't real. Answer. That's a rude comment. Why would you say something like that? Your friends seem unable to accept cultures and customs different than their own. Ops comment. I know this may sound weird, but this is the way they've always been. We've always joked around about race and other stupid shit like that, and I never really took it seriously. I've only really started seeing how bad it is now that I see the way it affects my wife. Commenter 3. You need new friends. These ones are awful. My coworker was from India, and she had an arranged marriage, and it was one of the sweetest relationships I've seen. Choose friends that respect you, not hurt you. Update. 2 days later. After reading through the comments on my previous post, it really surprised and shocked me how many people thought my friends were racist, bigots, or a holes. It struck a chord deep in me with how many outsiders had such a different perspective on the issue, where I thought I wasn't being firm enough, and my friends were just ignorant in terms of the ramifications of their actions, whereas the vast majority of commentators thought they were just plain a-holes and racists. I guess I was hoping if I was simply firm in my resolve, and told them in no uncertain terms if their disrespectful behavior were to continue, we could no longer continue socializing, they would see the error in their ways and hopefully apologize to my wife. So yesterday I asked them if we could all meet up to discuss something important, and after work, we all went for drinks. Once we started talking, I told them how disrespectful they were being towards both my wife and I, and addressed how much it had hurt my wife to be made fun of just because of her accent and ignorance when it comes to American customs. I continued by saying that I understand we usually joke about these sorts of topics, such as race, but that I now realized how wrong it was, and it all needed to stop. They did not take me seriously at all. Immediately, everyone began commenting on how much of a I'd become since getting married, and I was always so prissy and sensitive about we'd used to laugh about all the time. They continued by saying I never enjoyed myself anymore, and how I'd basically abandoned our group because I was always spending time with my wife. I was constantly trying to respond or defend myself, but the furs kept interrupting me and wouldn't let me say anything. They also said I stopped partying like I used to. Like, what the F? Sorry, I'm not interested in getting S-faced at the club every Friday night. We're not in college anymore. Then one of the guys says, are you being all uptight because you're not getting laid anymore? I'm surprised, man. If my wife was as hot as my wife's name, I'd be banging the S out her every day. Then all of them laughed like he'd made a hilarious joke instead of being a massive douchebag. After that, I was done with them, and told them I no longer wanted to socialize with people who were being completely disrespectful and held bigoted attitudes towards my wife, then left. Once I got home, my wife immediately asked what was wrong. I suppose I must have still looked pet off over what transpired. I told her how sorry I was over the way I handled the situation, and she would no longer have to deal with their mocking and bullying. She looked extremely guilty that I said this and told me I didn't have to sacrifice my happiness and friendships just to please her, and I should continue hanging out with them if I really wanted to. I don't know. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but I started crying like a baby. This woman, who'd left everything behind, her life, family, friends, to travel halfway across the world to a completely different country, all on the promise that I would provide her with a better life, thought this entire situation was her fault, and was saying I should prioritize my happiness over her own feelings or well-being. It broke me and made me realize what a selfish prick I was. So I spent over an hour convincing her this wasn't her fault at all, and that she should never believe my feelings are more important than hers. And whenever she is feeling hurt or angry, she should express those feelings without ever thinking it was wrong to do so. I'm very saddened by how long I had allowed this to transpire and have a ton of making up to do. Also, I just wanted to express my thanks, Reddit. This was the main reason I posted an update. Your guys' comments really helped take the wool off my eyes and understand the reality of the situation. We're in a much better place now because of it, and I truly do appreciate everything. Thank you. TLDR, got rid of my friends. You were right, they are a bunch of a-holes. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you're a good man, OP, and I know you will find friends who are not pricks and will not make fun of you and your wife. Ops comment, thank you. And yeah, there are some really nice people I've met through my gym who have been nothing but kind to both my wife and I. I'm planning to hang out with them much more now. I'm really hoping I choose better friends this time around, lol. Commenter 2, all of these guys are single, right? Ops comment, haha, no actually. The one who made the sex comment is married, another is engaged, and the rest are single. Comment 3. Wow, so that guy was also insulting his own wife with that comment. Classy. Ops comment, yeah, he treats his wife like shit and cheats on her constantly. Have no respect for that man. Story 3. I accidentally traumatized my girlfriend's roommate. I, 21M, live in a flat with my two friends, James, 23, and Emma, 24. Since the pandemic started, James' girlfriend, Sarah, 23, had moved in with us. She'd lost her job because of the pandemic, which had eventually led to her losing her flat. We had no issue with her moving in with us. She needed a place to stay. She was really chill for the first week or two, but she gradually started trying to dictate everything in the house. It started off with really trivial things like what movies we watched. We're big horror fans. Sarah isn't. What we could eat. Having to go without hot water so she could take long baths every night, etc. We all let this slide at first, as she'd been through a lot, and we didn't want her to feel unwelcome. It started to escalate to her dictating what we were allowed to eat, moving things around in our rooms, taking Emma's things without permission, and even throwing our things away. She threw away my signed Reanimator poster that my dad got me because she was grossed out by it. She'd complain all the time about the horror-related items in mine and Emma's bedroom. Emma and I completely understand that not everyone likes horror, but she was, quite frankly, being a pain in the A. So we refused to stop wearing our horror t-shirts as we wore them all the time, way before Sarah moved in with us. They're not graphic in the slightest. Where I might be a massive a-hole, it happened last week, and I'm still getting a lot of crap for it. It wasn't too long after she threw away the Reanimator poster I mentioned. I was still pretty off as it was a present from my dad. We don't speak anymore due to family troubles. I'd taken a nap. Sleep schedule isn't great. And when I woke up and left my bedroom, I saw Emma, James, and Sarah sitting on the sofa watching Hereditary. I was surprised to say the least, but found out later that Sarah and James had, though, if they stayed there long enough, Emma would leave. She was watching the movie before they came back. And they could make out, or whatever, on the sofa. No idea why they didn't just go to James' room, but, you know. I decided to be petty, snuck over to the sofa, and waited. For those who don't know, one of the main characters in the movie does a tongue click sort of thing quite a lot. I waited for a quiet moment and did the tongue click. Sarah freaked out. I got an earful from both of them about how I was an a-hole for scaring Sarah when I know how much she hates horror movies and how I'm childish. I accept that it was pretty childish, but I was stressed and petty. But she's been telling people about how I traumatized her and how she couldn't sleep all night. She was right about that, but from the noises coming from their bedroom, I don't think it's because she was scared. She even told people that I gave her a panic attack, which I didn't. Eta? Verdict, not the a-hole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. No. If she's that freaked out, she should not be sitting there watching the movie. Ops comment. Thanks. Yeah, I thought it was weird because she complained when we watched Goosebumps, but she'll quite happily sit there when an adult horror is on. I don't understand her. Commenter 2. No. Her throwing out your stuff is a move. Not gonna lie. She's not won the lease. She should go. This chick is taking advantage of the situation. She has crossed the line one too many times. And obviously no one else has said anything. Not cool in the slightest. All I'm gonna say is if she would have thrown my stuff out of my room, without permission, violating my privacy, some choice words would have been said. Ops comment. Thanks. I did have some choice words for her, but I was too upset to actually have a go at her. I know it's stupid, but I actually cried. That was something my dad got for me, and it was a nice memory. We're hoping she'll get her own place, but not sure how that's gonna go. Commenter 3. No, but you guys need to have some kind of housemates meeting to discuss Sarah's BS and tell James that this can't continue. She doesn't even pay rent, and even if she did, she shouldn't be dictating what you can't have in your own room, what you can wear, throwing out your stuff, etc. It's crazy that you've let this go on for so long as it is. As for traumatizing Sarah, that's absolutely ridiculous. She was watching the scary movie by her own choice. She needs to get a grip. Ops comment. It's sort of a lose-lose situation. We know for a fact that James is more likely to take Sarah's side in all this. That'll just make things really awkward and tense. We have to keep dealing with her BS if we don't call attention to it. We accept it's our own fault for letting this go on so long. Hopefully she either finds her own place or we can figure out a way to move out, once we manage to get our financial situation in order. Thanks for commenting. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect all the kind comments and awards. Thank you so much to everyone. I figured I should clarify a few things, as I've seen a few people in the comments suggestion asking similar things. No, Sarah does not pay for anything. She paid about half of what the rest of us pay for a couple months, then stopped due to money troubles. We have tried talking to her and James about her attitude and trying to dictate everything we do in our own home. James stopped talking to us for a couple days, and it was really awkward and tense in the flat for a while. We've spoken to Sarah about her behavior multiple times, but she just accuses us of overreacting. The only time I've actually yelled at her was when she threw away some of my things. Emma and I have contacted the landlord to see if there's any chance we can install a lock on our bedroom door. I know scaring her was childish, but I just sort of snapped. Not an excuse, but a part of me doesn't fully regret it. She made our life hell, and it gives me a tiny sense of satisfaction knowing that got her back in a small way. Emma and can't move out due to financial troubles, or we would have. We have, however, been keeping an eye out for affordably places to stay. We're going to have a talk with James when he gets back and discuss Sarah getting her own place, so hopefully we won't have to move out of our own home. Thank you for the support, everyone. Oh, and yeah, the poster was signed by Jeffrey Combs. Update nearly a month later. Hi, everyone. So it's been a little while since my last post here. A lot of stuff has been going on. To start, I want to start with thanking the people who commented and offered advice on my last post. It was really appreciated and really helped. I've also accepted that I am a bit of an AH for being so petty, but a part of me doesn't really regret scaring Sarah. Myself and Emma spoke with James about Sarah's behavior, dictating what we can and can do in our flat, throwing away our belongings, etc. Needless to say, this did not go to plan, and it ended in a huge argument and, what I believe to be, the end of our friendship. There was a lot of yelling and nothing got resolved. He told Sarah about our talk, and she went out of her way to make nasty comments about us and call us pathetic. My anxiety was through the roof in the days after our row, as I didn't want to lose my friend and felt that I had ruined everything. Maybe I was just being pathetic. Honestly, Emma was my rock through all this hassle and managed to convince me that this wasn't my fault. She's an angel. Anyways, skip to last week. We get a call from one of our friends, Sam. He'd just recently moved out of his parents' house into a nice 2-bedroom apartment. He's been struggling a bit with bills, and due to a bad family situation, he can't move back home. He asked us if we'd be open to moving in with him. He knew about our current situation and wanted to help us out, plus it helps him financially. Emma and I already share a room as well, so there was no issues with the bedrooms. Plus, Sam is a huge horror nerd like us, so it works out for the best. We've already given James and our landlord fair warning. He was a godsend. Emma and I are moving out in a few weeks. We have some things to get sorted, personal and financial, and then we'll be out of here. Our friend's apartment is a little further away from our work/college than we'd like, but we can work something out. It's worth getting up half an hour earlier to go to work, rather than have to deal with Sarah. We didn't want to leave our home because of her, but Emma already has enough on her plate between work and her personal life that she doesn't care too much, and I'm too emotionally drained to really care about the old place. I just want to move out of that stressful environment. Not the ending I hoped for, but things are looking up for Emma and I. Oh, plus, we're gonna start saving to go to a convention together to get another poster signed, once all this COVID stuff is over. It won't bring back the poster that my dad got signed, but we can make new memories, which will be better than just going out and buying a signed Reanimator poster, if that makes any sense. Thank you for the help. Relevant comments. Congratulations, OP. A triple hooray for Emma, Sam, and you. I'd be wary of another Sarah show as the moving day approaches. Secure your belongings. Ops comment, thank you. And yeah, that's a pretty good tip to Ba. She probably would do something like that. Edit, okay. Wow, this got a lot more comments than I was expecting. Apologies for not being able to reply, had to help out at work and sleep. I've read them all though. Again, sorry for the lack of replies. I've seen a lot of people suggesting that Emma and I start moving our stuff into Sam's flat ASAP and to keep an eye on our belongings in case Sarah tries anything. Thank you to everyone that suggested it. Emma and I have taken your advice, and we're going to speak to Sam about moving some of our belongings into his flat in the next couple of weeks. I also saw a lot of people asking how Sarah and James reacted when we told them that we were moving out. Needless to say, James was not happy to hear that he'd have to find new roommates or pay for everything himself. Sarah was also not too pleased that her verbal punching bags would be leaving and that she might have to get a job to help pay rent. I hope this cleared some things up for you guys. Again, thank you for all the kind comments and awards. You folks really are amazing. Story 4. My parents think I'm rude for being on work calls. I 36F took in my mother during the pandemic after some medical issues. I never made her move out after. It works for us. She has her own bedroom and bathroom. We share other spaces, and I work from home most of the time so I can look after her. My stepdad died about a decade ago and she was lonely. It made sense for us. As mentioned, I work from home most of the time, and a lot of times I'm in some kind of Teams meeting or call. Yes, even those that could be emails, but that's not important. So I don't really have time for chit-chat during office hours. My mom's sister, aka my aunt, tends to drop by unannounced to visit with my mom, which I don't really mind, but she had a tendency to step into my office without knocking while I'm working and start talking to me about her neighbor's sister's kid who did blah blah blah. I've more than once explained to her that I'm working or I'm on a call and I can't really chat right now. But she just keeps talking like nothing happened. Today, she actually announced to my mom she was coming over. I reminded my mom to tell her I'm working and on calls and can't be disturbed, and my mom agreed she would tell her not to bother me. But just to be safe, I locked my office door so she couldn't walk in. Despite my mom telling her, she came upstairs and tried to open the door. When it didn't open, she started knocking and calling out, "Hello, it's me, open up." I didn't respond at first, as I was on a call with a client, but she kept banging on the door so loudly I ended up having to put the client on hold. I told her without opening the door I was on a call and could not talk right now, and my aunt left in a huff. Now she's bombarding my mom with texts about how rude I was for locking myself in my office knowing I was having company. So AITA. Verdict, not the O-hole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You didn't have company. Your mother did. And it was while you were working. There's nothing to apologize for. Of course not. Both your mom and aunt are being rude, irrational, and entitled. It's your space. Put your foot down and tell your mom that your aunt is not allowed to visit during working hours if she can't be respectful. Update. Go to dinner for a few hours, return to Reddit only to find out this has exploded. First of all, thank you all for your confirmation that this isn't on me. I did not think I was the at-hole, but there's always that hint of doubt where you're like, maybe I should have poked my head out and said hello real quick. But the truth was, it was a busy day today, and I just hadn't had the time. Now for the update. After I finished my workday, I took my mom out for dinner, and we discussed the matter. She hadn't responded to any of her sisters, my aunt's texts, because she is fully on my side. I know people are asking why my mom didn't stop her. My mom isn't very mobile anymore, and my aunt simply got up from her seat and took off upstairs despite my mom's warning. We discussed it over dinner, and we agreed that my aunt simply is no longer welcome during office hours, since it's the only way to stop this behavior. Either she can pick up my mom to go to a coffee shop and talk, come after office hours, or come over on the one day I work in office. My aunt seems pretty about it, calling their brother, my uncle, to complain also. But he texted me earlier saying he told her how wrong she was, and apparently her husband had also told her she was wrong. So now she's currently stomping her feet at home because everybody is saying she's wrong. Delightful woman she is. Remind me to one day post the story about her Disneyland trip. Anyways, TLDR, Mom and I decided she's no longer welcome at my house during office hours. Final update, the Disneyland story. Update to the update, this is the Cliff Notes version of the Disneyland story. She has twin boys, and for their birthday, she booked a trip to take them and one of their friends out to Disneyland. The friend ended up canceling last minute and told me if I paid the friend's share, I could go. Reasonable enough, I figured why not. I was 16 at the time, this story is like 20 years old. I'm European, so this is Disneyland Paris I'm talking about. And I'm not from France, so this is an international trip. This becomes important later. My cousins are maybe 10-ish at this point. So anyways, we're in the parks, and she has been a menace all trip already, but I'm dealing with it. It's the last day, about 5 hours before we have to take our train back home. International traveling train with customs, etc., like a plane would be only less boarding time. One of my cousins wants to go on the rock and roll roller coaster, the other one doesn't. The line is like 5 minutes or less, so my aunt tells me to go with him, and she'll wait at the exit with our bags. So I leave my bag containing my phone, my ID, my money, everything in her care. 10 minutes later, me and my cousin get out of the ride, and she is gone. So I start looking around, cannot find her. After half an hour of waiting, maybe they went to the bathroom or something. Still nothing. We go check the bathrooms, neighboring rides the works no aunt. I have no phone on me to call her, and with us having to leave for the train in 4 hours, I get nervous. I'm a 16-year-old with a 10-year-old at my hand, and no money, no ID, no phone, nothing. So I decide to go to the lost kids department and explain my situation. They end up calling her through the park's intercom. Another hour goes by. No aunt. I remember my dad's phone number back home, so I use Disneyland's landline to call him. He tries calling her cell phone. My cell phone, no response whatsoever. At this point, I have like an hour or less before the train leaves, and I'm in hysterics because I can't board this train without money or ID, let alone with another minor. My cousin at this point, seeing my panic, is crying his eyes out, so I'm also dealing with a scared child. I'm barely an adult myself. My dad eventually tells me it makes no sense for him to drive out to Paris right now. To go back to our hotel, he'll pay for another night, and he'll come pick us up in the morning. So I take my cousin back to the hotel, explain the situation, and the receptionist hears me say my name and says, "Oh, sweetheart, I have a note for you. It's a note from my aunt. Gone to dinner, see you on the train. At this point, I have half an hour to run to the station, hoping we'll still get through customs where she's supposed to be waiting. I make it with 15 minutes to spare. I'm out of breath and fuming. We end up making it through customs, God only knows how, and manage to get on the train literally as the doors close on us. I call my dad, explain the update, and he is also fuming at this point. To which my aunt turns to me and goes, "I don't know why you're so mad. I left a note at the hotel and I brought you something to eat," and hands me a freaking dinner roll. I took my stuff, went to the dining car with my cousin, who she also almost abandoned, and gave him the biggest slice of chocolate cake my budget could buy, and never came back to our seats to talk to her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. JFC. She sounds entirely self-absorbed, and to do that to her 10-year-old son too. I hope your dad reamed her out when you got back home. I would have booted her so hard she'd need another ticket back from Paris. Ops comment. My dad knows me pretty well. My aunt was supposed to drive me home from the train station, which is another hour or so. My dad decided after hearing that I made it onto the train and hearing what had happened, it was safer for the lives of everybody involved to make the trip to the train station and pick me up himself, and not lock me into a car with her for another hour. Story 5. My sister called my child a mistake. Now she wants me to pay for her wedding. So I, F32 Deanna, am the eldest of 5 siblings, and I've taken on the role of the family caretaker for as long as I can remember. I helped our parents until their passing, and frankly, it's exhausting. Dad died of brain cancer 3 years ago, and it was heartbreaking to watch him deteriorate over time, and Mom passed peacefully overnight after a long, hard battle with breast cancer earlier this year. Cancer. So as the oldest, I just sort of became the de facto parent. I don't mind, as I love my siblings, and it's kind of my thing to big sister friends and family a lot. I'm sort of ship's counselor, and I financially help out my family. I don't mind, as I work in tech, have a side gig, doing art, and inherited land and money from Mom and Dad. All that to say it's no real loss. A few years ago, I adopted my cousin's Charlie, M45 child, who I will just use her nickname Decker. My baby loves kickboxing. After my cousin went to prison for murdering the Decker's mother in an alcohol and drug-fueled rage, which is too long a story to add here. It was a chaotic year of mourning, paperwork, and court hearings, but the adoption was finalized when the Decker was 5. Now, she's a happy, healthy 13-year-old who calls me Mom. She's in therapy, and has been since I legally could send her as she witnessed her mother's death, and I couldn't be prouder of how resilient she is. She's my girl. My rock star, my whole heart, and I call her that. Literally, my heart. Fast forward to my sisters. Clara, F30, upcoming wedding. I was thrilled for her at first, and she asked me to be MOH. I cried in joy and offered for my wife Honey, because we like the incredible lol. F40 and I to pay for it. Don't worry, I asked Honey first. But during a bachelorette dinner I set up, she made a hurtful comment about my daughter, calling her a mistake and saying I shouldn't have taken her in. I stared at her and asked her what she meant, and she said it wasn't like I was supposed to even have kids, as I am married to another woman. Then said, "No hate or anything," and laughed. But then she doubled down that Decker is likely damaged and a handful. Guys, Decker is the sweetest child alive. I mean, she is a teen, so yeah, sometimes she can get challenging or rebellious here or there, but when I say she is my whole heart, I mean it. She made us a family, and made our house a home. She smiles easy, cries openly, and has the emotional intelligence I wish I had myself. She always asks, "How are you doing?" And she really means it, willing to listen to people. But she's a damaged mistake. I felt like a character in a dark, twisted episode of a sci-fi show. Defending my choice to adopt felt like fighting the Borg, like I just wouldn't assimilate. I didn't laugh it off with my sister and her friends. I just stared at her in pure disbelief. I think she knew I was hurt because she quickly changed the subject. I said I better get home, paid for everything, and 3 more rounds and went home to my family. My sister came over the next day to yell at me for leaving and cutting them off after the 3 rounds I paid for. She said I owe her a do-over for ruining the whole weekend, because I can't take a joke. Honey, who I of course told what happened, asked my sister to repeat exactly what she said about our daughter. My sister refused and kept calling Decker Charlie's child, and I just was holding back so many tears. I told my sister that I wouldn't be contributing a dime to her wedding expenses, that I won't stop helping her pay her rent up until she moves in with her husband, but I won't be in or pay for the wedding of a person who sees my child as a mistake. Honestly, I was ready to go full-on Jedi and sever that connection, but Honey helped me temper myself. My sister lost it, threw the can of soda water we gave her at me, screamed, "How am I supposed to pay for this?" And I said, "You have over a year you can save up." So left, shoving Honey out of the way in the process, and blew up our sibling group chat. My other siblings are split. Some think I'm overreacting with cutting off funds for the wedding, while others agree that my sister crossed a line and needed the wake-up call. Now, I feel bad for my sister. I do love her, and she is distressed by this, but I can't shake the feeling that standing up for my daughter is more important. Tia for refusing to pay for her wedding after that? I am adding this an edit option. I've been working on my work project at a local brewery, and have been silently sobbing and reading the comments. Also, wow, so many comments. I was trying to reply to everyone, but I honestly ran out of steam. I sent this post to my wife, and also just bracing myself to talk to Decker tonight. We want to ask her if her aunt has done or said anything cruel to or about her. I am wishing hard that she's just confused by our questions and remain oblivious of this storm. I love my heart. I want her to always remain the bright, fun, loving, encouraging person she is. I don't want her to know anything about what her aunt has said. I texted my sister if she meant this, if she really sees me, my wife, and our daughter that way, or was she just drunk and stupid and doubled down in embarrassment? That said, I don't want her near Decker anytime soon. I feel so lost. I wasn't planning on ever being a parent, and there is no Fing manual for this. What the F do I even do? Wish me luck for tonight. I will need it because if Decker tells us her aunt has been cruel to her face, I will have to hold my wife back from swinging on my sister. Update. Next day. I am trying to keep this short. Honey and I took Decker out to the local Oktoberfest celebrations. She had a blast, did crafts, danced to music, had beer. It was not beer, in a pint glass, and generally had a great time. On the ride home, my wife broached the long-awaited topic. We asked her how she felt about Grandma's passing, then went into how everyone handles things differently. We asked if Mama, me, or Mom Honey ever was hurtful. And she named a couple moments we've been snappy or wouldn't let her do things, like a party at 2 a.m. But no, nothing else. We asked about Clara and she got quiet. Honey just looked at me, but I was driving, so I just said, "You can tell us anything, Goober. You know that," and she clammed up. I got my girls home and hugged my heart Decker and went to the den. About 2 hours later, my wife came downstairs to me and said Decker is in bed but no asleep and I should talk to her. I asked why, and she simply said that Decker is willing to talk about it. I went up. Decker was ready for bed, in her PJs, reading. I just sat down on the side of the bed and asked her how she was. She just said, "Mom told you, huh?" I told her I didn't know anything, and Decker then said that Clara makes her uncomfortable and said hurtful things. When my wife and I weren't around, Clara would call her the lost puppy or the stray, and once Decker remembers her to have told her to her face, "You're not real family," and that once Honey and I get a real child, we will dump her. I can't explain the rage. The absolute, total, and complete red. I saw as my daughter broke down telling me that she behaves so well and is so obsessed with grades, so she can prove she is worth loving, worth keeping. After calling my wife, we sat her down and told her that she is the best thing that ever happened to us, and that even if we do have more children, she is our firstborn and our love. I cried and held her, telling her she was my whole heart and that nothing will ever change that. She saved us, and I am so proud of her and us and all we've grown to become. I can't ever stop loving her. Neither can her mom. We love her more than air. That will never change. Then I explained that Auntie was wrong for this. Auntie is jealous of her, jealous of how much we love her. Auntie needs help, but we can't give that help, so she won't be around for a while. Decker asked us to stop talking to her like a child. so I was blunt. She's my sister, and I love her. You're my daughter, and I love you more. I told her my sister was wrong and hateful. I'm sorry that she didn't feel she could come to her mom or I, but she can. Every time, anytime. We will choose her, always. Decker asked me if it's her fault I hate Clara, and I just told her hate is a choice, and I don't hate Clara. I do love her. But sometimes loving a person means you correct them. Actions have consequences. My daughter got quiet and handed me her phone, and Clara had been texting her awful things since she left my home. I can't even type them because I want to throw things, but it's when I read my sister texting my teenage daughter, "Go tell your so-called mom like a snitch and prove me right," I took a screenshot and texted it to myself. Decker fell asleep around midnight, and my wife and I went to bed. I texted my sister the screenshot and said, "You come into my home as my sister and treat my child like this? No. Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you. This is not how you treat any child, let alone your own niece. I have loved you since as long as I can remember. I know you were not raised to treat children so terribly, but as of now, you are not accepted in my home. You will not speak to or contact me, my wife, or my child. I will give you the money for October, Clara, but November on? That's your responsibility. I am no longer going to help. I'm sorry. This breaks my heart. But you crossed a serious and unforgivable line. Decker is my daughter. I am her mom. Do not doubt me here, and I want to be clear. If you ever come sideways at my family again, or contact my daughter at all, I will take legal recourse. From today on, we are low contact. If you try to make this into a bigger issue, it will be no contact. If you don't understand, here are resources to help spell it out. I love you, D." Update 1, 3 days after first update. Edit to add the same trigger warnings as before. Sorry for forgetting. My brain is chaotic. TW, abuse, self-harm, substance abuse, death, violence. I kept my promise to my wife to wait before reacting. She knows me best and knew I was prepared to go nuclear. Turns out, I needn't have bothered. Let me clear up a couple of small details and misconceptions I've read. I am the eldest of the siblings. Mom and Dad have been sick for years on and off. So to those who think I've just started taking over as some weird power trip or something, no. I've managed their finances, maintained their properties, and taken care of all their affairs before either of them passed. Dad simply wasn't mentally able after a while, and Mom never had a head for that sort of thing. Yes, I was mostly left in charge of my siblings growing up. Both my parents had businesses and worked often 7-day weeks. I cooked dinner and helped with homework and whatnot. I'm aware that's not very normal, and I already know some of you will call my parents terrible for this, but they simply didn't know better. I won't hate them for any of it, and as much as it caused me some negative effects, it also made my siblings feel safe. I'm proud of being able to protect them and be there for them when they were young, so they didn't feel how I felt. And yes, I am also in therapy. I was the sole caretaker of my parents when they passed. The reasons are complicated, but the short of it is, Dad got verbally abusive towards the end, and Mom got severely depressed and blunt. They were a challenge to deal with on the best of days. I hold no ill will towards them, but there it is. My siblings didn't want to be around them. Dad was hurt and changed his will. Mom followed suit. For those telling me I am rewarding Clara by paying for literally this month, and that I'm not a real mom or a bad mom by loving my daughter's tormentor, I'm envious your world is so black and white. Rent is literally due today, and the money was already in transfer to her via auto banking. And Clara isn't getting rewarded. She is remaining housed. But from now on, she's on her own. Clara and I used to be pretty close, but she did get distant around the time Decker was adopted. I didn't know exactly why, just that the new dynamic was a challenge for her. I know she hates Charlie and considers him evil and irredeemable. She had a really hard time losing our cousin-in-law, Decker's biological mother, as they were very close, so I assume her issues stem from this. I inherited the majority of everything, though my siblings got sizable sums. 3 got all but one of the businesses my parents owned, and everyone got trusts. Clara spiraled after Mom passed and had a mental health crisis. Before we got her help, she traveled, drank, and gambled away her entire inheritance. Long story for another time. I didn't have a moment to cool down and wait until today to give myself a chance to make a level-headed decision regarding my sister. Clara has spun the tale that I am jealous she found a loving man and am withholding mom and dad's money from her. She gave the perception that I was the one abusing Decker, putting her down, and telling her she isn't my real daughter. That shut down when I sent my text a couple days ago. Yesterday, Clara was on my doorstep. She was crying and begging for me to let her in. But my wife and her friends were inside, and I made it clear I don't want her near my family, as she emotionally abused my daughter and physically harmed my wife. I told her to leave, or I would call the police to have her removed. I was going to call the police anyway because I told her never to come to our home again, and there she was. There's a reason I said this in text, so I could, in an event like this, show them clear as day that she would know she is welcome. Clara started to beg, saying she will apologize to Decker, and she was drunk and upset and made mistakes. I could tell she was drunk, or high, or something. I told her it's not a simple mistake to bully a traumatized teen girl and make her feel unloved and unwanted by her own family, and to text her that she is worthless and expendable. What the f? I got angry and just started to raise my voice. I don't know when I started to yell, but I did. I just lost it. She's a cold-hearted, awful, self-serving brat. Spoiled beyond belief to being so delusional that this all would just go away. She's entitled to the money my wife and I make that our parents gave us after all she did. She needs Fing help, and I am done being the giving tree here. You don't ever hurt my child. She's lucky I have a head to keep my hands to myself. And luckier still, Honey isn't out here because she certainly would not, so go the F home. Clara slapped me across the face and called me a bee and a traitor. That I choose that demon spawn of a child over her. That I love Decker more than my own real family and turn my back on her this way. Honey must have been right by the door, because before I could make a very bad choice, she had yanked me inside, told my sister that she had 60 seconds to f off, and slammed the door closed. Clara left quickly, but we still called the police and handed over the footage from our property cameras of what happened, as well as the texts from our phones. Clara went ballistic over text, telling me awful things, ending with her hoping I take my own life, and she would celebrate. Absolutely unhinged, awful shit like that. I blocked her, sent every piece of footage in a Google Drive, and dropped the link in the sibling group chat, and sent it to Kevin, her fiancé. I then sat down and cried myself into a fit before Decker came home from practice. I put on my mom face for her and made sure she did her homework. Then I went to the den and called my aunt, Decker's biological grandmother, and told her what happened. My aunt told me that Clara is renewing her conspiracy that I harming Decker, and that I need to be careful because she suspects Clara is having some sort of mental break and might do something crazy. Honey and I have spent this whole day working on a request for a protective order from her, making sure Decker's school knows no one is to pick her up but us, and get a lawyer because I think legal action is needed here. I told my eldest of the brothers that Clara needs help and asked if he could check on her because she might be as much a danger to herself as she is now presenting to be to me and my family. He got quiet and said, "Can't you handle this?" and said this drama was too much and he's busy. I was so stunned I just blurted out, "Are you kidding me right now?" before I just hung up. My other sister is now over, helping me deal with this. My other brother has gone to see after Chloe makes sure she hasn't hurt herself, but beyond that she can get wrecked for what she's done. Kevin called me and said he went through the Google Drive and begged me not to call the police on Clara. He said that she has been having a really bad time and has struggled with drinking and has been stealing his medications, and he's trying to get her help. But if she gets arrested, he doesn't have the funds for bail or any legal help. I told him it's too late. The police have been called and he needs to get her into some sort of rehab or something. He asked for our help to pay for a facility he was thinking of, and I told him to keep her away from me and my family. He started to cry and told me I'm an awful sister, that I don't care about Clara and her struggles, and that she's just lost, and he's underwater trying to keep her from going off a deep end. I didn't reply after that and have just been sitting around the house waiting for the police to call back. trying to get my crying out for the way before Decker comes home from school. I feel wretched and terrible because not matter what I do now, it will just never feel right. I was to look after them all, and now my sister is this lunatic hell-bent on burning my life down, and my brother is alarmingly just indifferent to it all. I am used to being the one that holds the family together and handle things, but I don't feel like I can handle anything anymore. WTF is my life. Relevant comments. You are in a tough situation. Someone will have hurt feelings no matter what choice you make. At the end of the day, you must do what is best for your family, wife and child. It's hard letting go of family when you know they will flounder, but you don't want to sink with them. I bet your parents wouldn't want you to either. Ops comment. Oh, my mother would be furious with me right now. I can almost hear her berating me in the back of my skull, telling me Kevin is right, and I am supposed to take care of them, not turn my back on any of them, and to forgive, because we are family, and that's what family does. It's killing me, but it helps watching Decker. She's out back in the pool now that her homework is done, and she's chatting away with Honey while I work on dinner. I've been staring at bell peppers for like 15 minutes, battling my mom in my head with... But look at her, she's safe and happy. Wouldn't you want that? Come to. Sounds like you're doing the right thing, but... Yikes. I'm not sure that helping pay for rehab is a bad idea, as long as it's an inpatient facility and there's a court order in place that will help govern when she can leave. The most important thing is keeping her away from your family. This would accomplish that, while also allowing you to say that she needs help and you're helping her get it. And who knows? Maybe she'll actually get the help she needs. Ops comment, I really hope she does get help, but right now I am focused on my daughter and wife. She was off the rails enough to strike me. It's not a full-on attack, but if she's capable of all of this, I don't know what she might do to my family, and right now she's hyper-fixated on us, and Decker in particular. She has my other siblings and her fiancé, so I will let them handle this for now. I am more concerned for the safety of my home. I know that sounds terrible, and maybe I am, but I just don't have the extra space in my mind to deal with this. Update 2. Edit. Sorry, I forgot the TWs. Self-harm, depression, SAA. Too tired to do the song and dance, so if you want the rundown, it's on my account. I think I just desperately need to write this out. We went NC with the whole of my side of the family about a month and a half ago, aside from my other sister, not Clara. Decker has been in therapy, and frankly so have I and Honey both individually and a bi-weekly couples therapy session. A lot has changed. I didn't realize how much the abuse I suffered at the hands of my uncle really affected me. His reaction to Decker never bothered me, or really had a stake in my emotional or mental state, but more that my mother made me forgive him and be polite when he was around. It's always been that way. I was the eldest, so I turned the other cheek until I had no cheeks, then I turned the old ones. I was never really permitted to have negative emotions or get angry. This situation with Clara blew a lot of dust up, and Honey and I started to have issues. She noted how reserved I tend to be, and even with her, I struggle with asking for what I want, or expression displeasure. I shut down or deflect. It sucks to learn this about yourself when the rest of your world is falling apart. Clara was arrested for my assault and ended up doing a mental health program for a month rather than getting a conviction. As such, her record is clean of that from what I understand. It was hard cutting her and the others off. My other sister was the one keeping me up to date on everything. Clara got out a while ago. She's been trying to get in touch every way she can. She got a new number, email, Facebook, even TikTok. She's written and mailed numerous letters. I am exhausted because I hate cutting everyone off. It's so isolating always having my siblings around and now only really having one sister, so suddenly is really lonely. I focus on Decker and Honey. Honey seems happier overall. She's dancing in the kitchen again, is more affectionate with me, and is more excited to go out and do things. And Decker is also happier. We've focused less on her grades and praise her more for her sense of kindness, her stick-to-it attitude, and more. She's more open with me in particular. She talks about crushes and friends more now, shares about the intricate life of a teen, Lol, it's really very cute. I'm not so okay, but my family is safe and happy, which is what matters. Clara's fiance Kevin reached out to me 2 days ago. Clara has been released and has been out for a week or so, it sounds like, but she still has outpatient rehab to do. It's encouraged for her to have family and to be supported, Kevin says. And he says she isn't doing well. She started talking about self-harm, and she confided in him that the same uncle that abused me abused her. He's begging me to talk to her and help her through this. He keeps reminding me of how she was before all this and how close we were. Calling what we were close may be incorrect, because based on what I'm learning, our relationship was toxic from the start. I was an enabling sister to a manipulative and narcissistic one. I held my ground and spoke to Honey, who agrees I should keep NC and block Kevin and simply rely on my other sister for info. But I can't help but feel guilty. I wish Clara well, but I can't risk cracking the door open and risk the well-being of my family. I think I just feel alone. I know I can't have her in my life anymore. It just hurts. Sorry for the delay in update. And to those who have been gentle or at least firm but fair with me in my private messages, I thank you. There was never a manual on how to be a good wife or mother, and I have lived an existence of feeling so out of my depth. I appreciate the support. Story 6. I kicked my parents out for saying I was fed up as a kid. I had my parents over for dinner this weekend, 60s. And after my daughter, 10, asked if she could play us a song she had been practicing on her keyboard. She gets lessons. It wasn't perfect, few missed notes, a couple pauses, but she did really well. She looked up at the end, massive smile, and I started clapping, and my parents started fing laughing. Not just a little chuckle, a massive fing belly laugh. Them both. My mom asked if it was her first time playing it, and my dad said it had to have been. A dog could have played that better. It was like my daughter was shrinking on the spot, and she looked down and said, "No, I've had 2 lessons, but doing it with 2 hands is hard." And they just laughed, even fing harder. I just stood up, took their cups, and said, "Leave." Now, my mom tried to say about how they hadn't finished their drinks, they wanted to hear another song, etc., and said, "Get your stuff and get the feff out of my house right now." My dad started doing this huffing thing he does when someone dares to speak up to him. And my mom said that there was no need to be like this, that I can't protect her all the time, and she preparing my daughter for the real world. I said, "It's not teaching the real world, they're just nasty little bullies picking on children and like this is why I was so fed up as kid. Now leave." They got their stuff and left. I sat with my daughter and explained how proud of her I was and how well she was doing. To ignore them. They were just being cruel because they don't know any other way to be, and asked if she could please play it again, which she did. On the Sunday, I messaged and said that until they can behave like decent human beings, that we're taking a break away from them. My dad replied that it was my choice, but he didn't realize he raised me to be so precious. Now my lovely brown-nosing golden child of a sister is getting involved. She phoned me today with my parents' version of events, telling me I was a nasty piece of work and should never speak to my parents that way. That I'm wrapping my child in cotton wool and blah blah blah. I just told her to go for herself and hung up. I'm not asking if I'm in the wrong for standing up for my daughter. I'll always do that. But I did go pretty 0-100. I kicked them out straight away. I swore at them and in front of my daughter. I did raise my voice at the end when I said leave. I was and still am angry. I don't think I'd even accept an apology from them at this point. This behavior isn't new, it's decades old. But this is the first time it affected my daughter. Did I go too far? React too much? Should I have tried to be calmer? Talk it out? I don't know. Edit, lots of people think I'm a mom, lol. Nope, single dad. Also, thank you all for your comments. Def calming the anger I felt and making me feel less shocked for the way I reacted. Edit 2, I really appreciate all the comments, even the ones calling me Mama Bear, lol. I never doubted I was in the right for standing up for my daughter, just how I went about it. I'm gonna sit and talk with my daughter about it all either tomorrow after school or on the weekend. My parents and sister can just disappear for all I care. To all the commenters that said they wish they had someone like me when they were younger, I get it, man. I really do. I hope you got someone now or are able to be that someone. Reading all these comments changed my anger into sadness/realization that I'm not alone with the shitty parents. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for the comments, guys. Even the trolls, you were great. Also, please stop giving awards. It's a throwaway. Don't waste your money. Edit 3. Really appreciate all the comments and DMs, but my phone's going a bit mad with it all, so I'm gonna delete the account. I'm gonna keep the post up though, because people have posted a bunch of links I'd like to look into this weekend. Thanks all. Aita has no consensus bot. OP was not in the wrong. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm so sorry you were raised by those people, yet have not normalized their behavior. Not in the wrong. Ops comment. The way they were and how it affected me is why I will never ever normalize it. I stopped doing so many things out of a shame I should have never felt, and my daughter will not be the same. Commenter 2. Didn't stop you from exposing your own child to it though, did it? Stop being a sty parent and don't allow them anywhere near you child again. Ops comment. They never treated my daughter like they did me before that weekend. I would never have allowed it, and the moment they did, I stopped it. I wasn't asking if I was wrong for stopping it, just how I went about doing so. Commenter 3. I said, it's not teaching the real world, they're just nasty little bullies picking on children and mess. Like, this is why I was so fed up as kid, now leave. Unless this was a lie, you knew who they were. Stop being a sty parent and take responsibility for your own actions. Ops comment. Yes, to me. But never my sister, never my nieces, never my daughter. I put it down to being a boy in a family that wanted girls. And I had a girl. A beautiful, clever, amazing girl. How would I ever think they would act like this? Commenter 4. Not in the wrong. You are correct, they are just nasty little bullies, picking on children. What normal human would belittle a child's attempt to perform for them? I know 3 people who never need to darken your door again. Ops comment. It was how they always were. Anything I did while growing up was picked at or laughed at. I couldn't let my daughter feel how I did. Commenter 5. Not in the wrong. You're a damn hero. If your parents think that's an acceptable way to talk to a child, they had it coming. Bullies always whine when the tables are turned. At most, you might want to talk to your daughter about how they've always been like this. And a confrontation was bound to happen. She may blame herself, or wonder if you'll yell at her like that someday. Knowing there's a history would help her understand. At 10, she'll have encountered bullies already, but may not know they don't change when they grow up. Ops comment. Thanks for your comment. Didn't think of that. Definitely don't want my daughter thinking you'll ever react that way at her. Commenter 6. Not in the wrong. If you still want a relationship with your sister, you might consider telling her what really happened. By her reaction, you will know if she is someone to keep in your life or not. Since you mentioned she only got your parents' version. Ops comment. Even if she had my version, I doubt she'd change her mind. I can already hear the, well, your daughter should practice more. She's like a mini-mom, Ops comment. I joined a choir as a preteen. My parents supported it and came to my first show. They then laughed at how my mouth moved and how my face was while I sang. Showed videos and pictures to family so they could laugh too. I quit it not long after. Parents, burning the passion thing hurts. I'm so happy for you being able to find it again. Thank you for your comment. Commenter 7. My parents started Fing laughing, not in the wrong. What massive CS. I'm shocked you've kept them in your life if treating people with this level of derision is commonplace for them. Ops comment. They haven't been like this since I hit around 20. No supportive, but not mocking or mean, you know? And never anything against my daughter, I would never have let them around her otherwise. Update. 11 months later. Update. Ata for kicking my parents out and saying this is why I was so fed up as a kid. Saw my post on Bored Panda on FB, gave it a Google, and damn, it went everywhere. So putting out an update. This was the original. You can find it online. You can believe it's me or not, but this is the update. We cut contact with parents and sister. Parents kept messaging that I was being overprotective, didn't know how to raise a child. I should look at how well I've grown with how they raised me. Sister still thought I'm committing some massive crime by talking to my parents that way, not agreeing with them, etc. Been about 9 months since last messages. They've been blocked, and any fam that messages about them has warning. If they continue, they'll be blocked. Bye, Nan and Uncle Steve. Got my daughter a piano secondhand off Gumtree. Dear are they expensive? Just over $5K for a small Yamaha. Then almost $1.5K to bring it up to scratch, keys and wires, and another 130 pounds to tune it. Pianos are expensive. Probably ripped off. IDK. She gives it up. I might actually cry, lol. She's 11 now. Has lessons twice a week, which also make my bank cry. But Teba, I think she might be the next Mozart. Only piano person I can think of. She practices all the time. I have a partner now, and he's equally as supportive as me. She always grins at the applause at the end of her shows, fortnightly to monthly. Thanks for all the previous love, supportive comments, and pointing in the right direction. Sorry for all the wasted awards. Don't put any on this. It's another throwaway. I am beyond proud of my daughter. She understands why we don't see them anymore, and she seems okay with it. She's brilliant. Thanks again, Mama Bear. Lol. Edit to add. Reread the post, and just want to add, I did talk to my daughter, have a multiple times since. My parents were pretty involved in our lives, so their absence hit her pretty hard at the start. I explained, in kid terms, the I went through, what they said and how they were wrong and shouldn't have. How I won't allow it with her. I also apologized for getting angry around her and swearing. And she did get upset and said I scared her, which made me feel awful. She seems to understand none of it was aimed at her, was for her. She isn't scared of me or anything, was just an in-the-moment thing. I don't shout or swear around her normally. She gets that I love her, I'm in her corner, and always will be. Second edit, suggested to add that the Mama Bear sign-off was because so many people assumed I was a mother last post. Was a father then, still father now. Was just trying to be funny. Didn't seem to land, lol. Also, Mozart, my bad. Lol. Final edit, thank you for your comments. I appreciate them, genuinely. Hope you guys have someone in your corner, and thanks for being in mine. People who doubt if I'm the same, or karma farming, I don't care about karma, lol. Not gonna reply anymore. Gonna either delete, if I remember the password, or just leave this account tomorrow. But I appreciate the comments, and hope you were happy with the update. Mama Papa Bear, lol. Relevant comment. Pianos are an investment. Also, still not in the wrong. Gotta wear shades. Your spine is shining so bright. Ops comment, a bank-breaking investment, lol. But I don't regret it. It's newly plated, lol. Thanks. I read the original. She played a 2-hand piece after 2 lessons? Wow. My mom was a classical piano teacher. Still have her grand piano, and I played from 6 to 14. Your parents were bullies, not helping her with the real world. Much better ways to react. Mistakes happen. I don't know why 2 lessons a week, though. Is it because she wants that? Best to you and your family, chosen family, and those that aren't like parents and sister. Not in the wrong back then and now. Ops comment. We brought some books that had stickers for her to practice with, and she spent a lot of time on YT. So a lot was self-learning. I wasn't able to financially help her the way I wanted when I posted, so I couldn't get a lot of lessons or the keyboard piano she wanted. In a better position now. Is 2 not a lot? She has asked for more, but she does Tuesday, Friday hour lessons. Should she have more? Commenter 3. Thanks for the update. I remember being absolutely shocked at the original post. In a weird way, your parents do have a point that they raised you right. If you are in a position to be such a bad standing up for your daughter and tell them to F right off. They didn't raise you well, and obviously they are assholes. But somehow you sure turned out all right. Not in the wrong. Ops comment. They didn't raise me this way. I went against their raising to be this way. Only been over the last few years. I've seen things and read things about generational trauma. Doubled my strength into not having it hit my daughter. It's why I regretted the shouting and swearing so much. I'm not who I am because of them. I'm who I am despite them. Commenter 4. Have you been to therapy for your PTSD? Because there is no way this was the only thing over the last 10 years as a single dad. I assume your parents did a million little things to your daughter. Probably called her ugly dumb hundreds of times before this. Ops comment. Only thing said against my kid. They have never made a negative comment to her, and I would never allow it. They don't have her solo either. In their words, "We've had our kids, we're done with it now." If they had ever said that to her, my reaction would have been the same as a year ago. My daughter is beautiful, amazing, clever. She works so hard, tries so much. She is amazing, and I will never and have never let anyone speak to her that way. Story 7. Dog bit home intruder. Now intruder's mother is threatening to sue for medical costs. I live in an older home, a stone's throw away from Frat Row, in a party school college town. Just over a year ago, a college student drunkenly entered my home via throwing his weight at my 150-year-old wooden door at around 1 a.m. When he entered, he woke us up and startled our large dog, who was most likely sleeping on the floor by the front door. The dog bit him, drew blood, and college student needed stitches. When we heard him entering the home, we called the police, who did a great job of coming quickly. They administered medical care to him, and one set of officers took him to the ER while another set got a statement from us. We pulled our vaccine records for the dog, gave him the name to the vet, and so on. The next day, they called to let us know that they had checked with the vet, and everything about our dog was shipshape, and the dog was obviously contained appropriately and has no bite record, so they didn't impound him or anything, and chalked it up to doggy justice. They dealt with the student too, and communicated with us throughout the process, and after all the court dates, he received a fine and a misdemeanor. We did not attempt to escalate, as college student was drunk, was stupid, had no prior record, and hopefully learned from the experience. And our dog. Door and frame got replaced and strengthened with another lock. We had no idea how brittle that door was. This week, over a year later, we got a letter from a lawyer representing the student and his mom saying we can settle for the cost of the dog bite expenses, which they did not itemize or send a copy of the bill for or anything, just put the number on a letter. Or they will sue us for the cost plus legal fees. My husband and I can't see how this can possibly hold up in court, considering he was technically breaking and entering and did receive a misdemeanor for that. My question is, do we even need a lawyer for this? Or can we just say, "See you in court," and represent ourselves with a copy of the police report from the break center? We're sort of regretting letting it go so easily now. How can he possibly sue us for the cost of the stitches and ER bill when he was criminally trespassing in our house and breaking our door down? It's not like our dog was outside running around unsupervised or even on a leash or something. He's not an aggressive dog at all and had never before and never since bit anyone. I feel like he and his mom watched one of those ambulance chasing lawyer commercials and took the bait. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Or can we just say, "See you in court," and represent ourselves? Representing yourselves is a bad idea, even in a case that otherwise seems open and shut. In this case, you're not yet being sued, so you don't have to do anything. You should inform your homeowner's insurance of the letter. They will likely handle it from there. How can he possibly sue us for the cost of the stitches and ER bill when he was criminally trespassing in our house and breaking our door down? He was trespassing doesn't automatically excuse everything that happened. It's entirely possible for you both to have been wrong, him for B&E, you for having a dangerous dog or something. Your particular situation doesn't seem like that from your retelling, but such things aren't terribly uncommon. Ops comment. Sounds good. We will contact a lawyer on Monday. We paid one for advice when the student initially broke in to make sure we had our bases covered and had representation in case we needed to go to court. We did not. Our lawyer went on our behalf with written statements from us, and we will reach out to him again and then go from there. Commenter 2. If he got probation, I would send the letter to his probation officer. They tend to frown on criminals trying to shake down their victims, and tell your dog what a good boy he is. Commenter 3. My guess is the kid lied to his parent about breaking into your home. I would bring a copy of the police report and any backup you have to an attorney to write a response to their attorney. That's where my mind goes. The kid spins his hero's journey about how the vicious, out-of-control dog mutilated him. His mother believes him and wants justice. Edit, I'm hesitant to say where I live because it becomes way too easy to Google if I do. Edit 2, whoa, there's a lot of responses. Thanks for the advice, everyone. At this point, we've made up our minds to speak to the lawyer we had from the initial case last year. We'll call him on Monday and update after that conversation. Some answers to questions. We are the homeowners. We paid out of pocket for the replacement door and door frame, and we also replaced our side and rear doors and frames with matching doors when we realized how easy it was to get into our house by forcing the door. This was in the low 5 figures. We took it out of our emergency fund and did not go through homeowners. There was a restitution order, but it was not enough to cover the doors that we wanted, labor and door frames. We live in a historic home and wanted to keep with the character. We have lived in a historic home for most of our marriage, so we know to keep cash on hand for pipe leaks, furnaces going out, and now, door replacements. We tell our dog he's a good boy every day, don't you worry. He is the goodest boy. Edit 3. I can't figure out how to get those asterisks to look like bullet points. What am I doing wrong? Relevant comments. Commenter 5. Sometimes people cut strangers some slack. Being drunk and stupid is a near universal experience, although the violent B&E is generally not. Still, I can understand feeling like bite plus fine/slash misdemeanor is enough for someone who wasn't otherwise violent. Commenter 6. There is being drunk and stupid, and then there is breaking down a stranger's door in the middle of the night. Commenter 7. Sure, at which point his hand was lacerated by a dog bite. He was arrested and was sentenced to both a fine and some kind of restitution. They could have pushed for more, but they said, well, okay. That's probably even for the shock of the event and for the cost of the door. You are free to disagree, but I don't think OP's choice was unreasonable. This time, it just happened to come back to bite them in the Ops comment. It's pretty much this. My husband and I have worked at the university in this college town for a while now. We have seen stupidity, though this is the first time someone has come into our house because of it. For as long as we've lived in that house. We wanted to give the kid the benefit of the doubt, and we wanted to give him a fighting shot at a good adulthood. Criminal records follow people around in serious ways, and we both believed that the punishment fit the incident at the time. We actually had a friend in our peer group when we were in our early 20s and 30s who did something similar when he was in his late teens, wandered in drunk to someone's home about 20 years ago, and it became a felony. He struggled to find employment for years as a bright, sober. He never drank again after that, young man, and watching him lose out on job after job because he had to say he was a felon for breaking and entering for years after the incident shaped our decision not to push it with this guy. Update. Dog bit home intruder. Intruder's mother threatening to sue for medical costs. Quick update to this. It was easily handled. We met with our lawyer on Monday and paid him outright to draft a letter and include documentation of fault. Basically, the police report, restitution order, court documents, etc. And also the vet records that include the police check-in and vaccine records for the dog. My vet wrote down when the police called him and why they called him, and my lawyer's secretary grabbed a copy of that for this. Why he is including this, I don't know. If anyone has any ideas why this would be important, let me know. He did not want to include the bills and orders for the door at this time, but took a copy just in case we needed to move further. This morning, the student's mom's lawyer, who sent the initial letter, called our lawyer and said that the family would no longer be pursuing restitution for medical expenses, and that we could expect a letter from him stating that would arrive at both the lawyer's office and our house within the week. Turns out that those of you who guessed that the student didn't tell his mom why and how he got bitten by our dog are probably correct. It wasn't explicitly said during the phone call, but my lawyer relayed that he could infer it from the way the conversation with the other lawyer went. This probably made his top 10 stupid cases list. Thanks again for the advice and help. Story 8. My husband is leaving me for a younger woman, and all I can think about is the house decor. I'm 34F, married for 7 years to my husband, 41M, together for 10. I love my husband and always thought he felt the same about me. We built a life together. 8 years ago, he had severe anxiety and couldn't sleep. so I would stay up with him, holding his hands and doing breathing exercises until he could finally rest. I'd go to work exhausted. I helped him find a therapist. I encouraged him to grow in his career, even though he was afraid. 6 years ago, I quit my job to take care of his mom who had cancer because he had the potential to earn more than me. While I was job hunting again, I got pregnant, and he suggested I stay home to take care of him and our daughter. So I did. I cared for him and I loved him. In December, he got a promotion, which meant more hours. I gave birth to our daughter in March. I went through a phase where I felt horrible, fat, ugly, and it was just me and my baby at home. He barely talked to me, always said he was tired and that I wouldn't understand what he had to say. If it wasn't for my mom staying on video calls with me, I think I would have felt completely abandoned. I've been suggesting couples therapy since June, and he kept saying everything was fine. Now I feel like I'm nothing more than a mother. I used to read, study, be interesting. I wasn't sexually frustrated or insecure back then. I used to have conversations about politics, music, books, art. I decorate our house myself with my own savings, and it's everything I ever dreamed of. I love my house. The colors, the furniture, my kitchen. It took me years to make it exactly how I wanted. I have the garden I always dreamed of, a vegetable patch I adore, and a hanging chair where I love to sit with my baby. Last week, he came home later than usual, and I was happy to see him. I was in the living room playing with our daughters. He asked the older one to go to her room. He seemed like he had been drinking and then said, "I love you so much, but I don't want to be with you anymore." He told me I wasn't the person he fell in love with anymore. Then he said he was in love with a girl from work, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of, and that he needed to give himself the chance to live that love without guilt. Yes, he cheated on me with a 22-year-old. When I finally managed to speak, the only thing that came out was, "But what about my home decor?" At some point, I picked up my baby and started shouting things like, "I put time into this house. I did everything it needed. This house is mine." We argued because, apparently, I didn't value his suffering enough. I don't know why I kept talking about the house. I guess I'm disposable. I'm 34, with a 4-month baby and a 4-year-old daughter. I don't have a job. I'm gonna lose my dream home. I feel ugly, fat, and he's told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I gained too much weight during my last pregnancy. Edit, I'm gonna talk with his mom and brother about the divorce today. I'm starting with them because they're close to me, and his brother went through a divorce over infidelity early last year. Also, his mom is very attached to me for obvious reasons. I was there for her during the worst part of her life, and his brother and I are also very close. I also texted my mom, and she's coming here to stay with me and the girls. I hope she gets the visa to visit. And my dad, who's American, will be coming to my state in 2 weeks. Edit 2. I talked to his brother about the affair, and he leaving. He told me to find a lawyer, the same thing you all said. Now we're talking to a few lawyers today. I accepted the help because I have the girls with me, so it's hard to do everything alone. Relevant comments. Comment on. I'm so sorry this happened to you. If you want the house, you'll need to fight for it in the divorce. If your husband was even a little bit decent, he should leave it to you and your daughters so that the kids aren't uprooted. That's the least he can do for you. If he wants to go build another life, he'll regret. You're going to need resolve and a plan, get evidence of his cheating, and start building your case. Ops comment. I'm looking online for lawyers, but I don't know what I'm looking for. Commenter 2. Family law attorney in your area. Why should you move? In the US? You don't work and he does? You are primary caregiver to kids? Did someone tell him that banging a 22-year-old was free? That was the most expensive thing he ever did. Ops comment. I don't want to move. I've been living in the US for 16 years, but I'm from South America. Honestly, I'm scared, even though I'm here legally. Commenter 3. Yeah, so you wouldn't miss him? But just the house? Ops comment. I'm going to miss him so much. I love him and I gave so much of myself to him. I can't even describe to you how much it hurts to take a hit like this. It hurts so much that I don't even think about how much I'll miss him. I think about how I dedicated so much time to all of this. He wanted a second daughter. and she's here at 4 months old while he's sleeping with a new girl. I'm in pain and I'm angry, so angry. Commenter 4. I think that your first reaction being about your home decor tells you everything that you need to know. Your relationship with him was dead, and now you can move on to better things. He doesn't deserve you, or the lovely home you created. Commenter 5. Leaving OP with a 4-month-old is pretty shitty behavior. But her response indicates to me that there wasn't a lot of space for him in the relationship. She referred to it as her house, her decor, her vegetable garden. My marriage broke down for similar reasons, although I didn't leave for my secretary. It was pretty clear to me that my wife considered her role to be looking after the house and the kids, and my role was to pay for everything. Ops comment, he didn't want to get involved in anything related to the house. Neither taking care of it, nor maintaining it, nor giving opinions, everything was whatever. Commenter 6. So basically, you put him on a pedestal and made him your god and served him, neglecting yourself and everything that made you who you are. Now you are crying about the damn house and how unfair of him to do this to you? Wasn't unfair of you to abandon yourself for that man? If you abandoned you, why would he stick with you? And it is a waste of time giving advice here. You'll take him back in a second if he said sorry. I made a mistake. You really will stay with him and fight for him until the end, when you should only focus on you, not him. So do you want us to say how evil he is doing this to a perfect person like you? Oh, but yeah, do couple therapy. Can't lose that house. Ops comment, I neglected myself in many ways, really. Along the way, I may have changed, but everything I did came from the bottom of my heart. I took care of his mother because I cared about her. I had and cared for my daughters because I wanted to be a mother, and it made sense for me to care for our children. And I took care of him because I like taking care of the people I love. But I had never even thought about how much I neglected myself until now, because I accepted so many things since I loved him and was busy with all of that. To be really honest, I didn't even want to have my youngest daughter. He was the one who insisted. I hope one day I can be as strong-willed as you, and I hope you never go through this. Because, unfortunately, it's very easy to lose yourself in motherhood and in the role of wife. And I got lost. And no, I do not intend to get back with my husband. I'm afraid of losing my home and my daughters. It's definitely a raw deal. Even though we're only getting one side of the story, it shouldn't end like this. Best of luck to you and your daughters. It speaks to your character that his own family is on your side. Appreciate that fact and let it give you comfort in who you are. Ops comment, I have been friends with his brother for a long time, and he went through a difficult divorce. That's why he is with me. I decided not to tell the rest of his family yet until we have a lawyer. Apparently, he hasn't told anyone either. Update. 1 week later. My husband is leaving me for a younger woman, and all I can think about is the house decor. Hi, I'm writing because I feel pathetic, tired. I just want to skip to when this phase of my life is over. A brief summary of what happened this week, and I can't believe I love this man. My brother-in-law is staying at my house until my family arrives, and my best friend visits me every day. On Monday, my brother-in-law asked my ex to leave the house, and strangely, he actually listened to his brother. Since then, he's only been tormenting me through messages. He wants an amicable divorce, and keeps making proposals that only benefit him. I've been trying to stick to a routine because I have 2 children and they need stability, and apparently I'm the only one willing to provide that. Yesterday he texted me saying he wanted to see the kids, and I agreed. He showed up after they were already asleep. I swore he wasn't going to come. He arrived here at 11 p.m. with a document wanting to talk about how he'd like to keep the house and pay me an additional amount for my share. I just stared at him without saying anything. I asked him to leave because the kids were sleeping. My brother-in-law added that it wasn't the right time or place to discuss this and asked him to leave. I don't know what happened to him, but this doesn't seem like the man I married. He yelled at my brother-in-law saying he was betraying him, that he wanted to play house because his own marriage didn't work out. Then he yelled at me, calling me a lazy who wasn't going to take his money. He said this house was his, and that his 22-year-old girlfriend, Anne, told him I was going to try to keep the house he bought. We didn't respond, I just said he should leave because he was getting messy, and then he left. I don't know why he wants the house when he can afford to buy another one. And I don't understand how the person I married could try to trick me just to come out ahead in the divorce. I kept asking myself, if this is the man I married, he wants me gone. He wants the kids gone. He didn't ask about the girls, about his own daughters. He didn't see them or even ask to give them a goodnight kiss. To him and to Anne, we're just an obstacle. Nothing more. I'm not even a person. Relevant comments. The 22-year-old wants the house. Ops comment. For sure, but she won't even come close. What makes me angriest is that it took me so long to get the house to look the way it does today. And now some girl comes along and he just assumes I'm going to give my house to them? Did he buy the house before you were married, or did you both buy it after you were married? If he came into the marriage with the house, there isn't much you can do, and he will likely get the house. If not, then you will probably get the house in the divorce, as that is the home of the kids. I would suggest keeping all communications in text so that you have evidence of what he said. Keep a notebook as well to make notes of anything he does or say or doesn't do regarding the kids. If he says he will visit but doesn't make a note of it, this will help you in child custody. Ops comment. I paid part of the down payment, he pays the mortgage, but I've invested around 15% of the value in renovations and decoration. Commenter 3. I'm so proud of you for standing your ground and protecting yourself and the kids. I think Bael has always known who his brother is, a selfish a-hole, and is helping you and the kids because he knows how his brother can be. Bael sounds like a decent guy, and I am so glad you have someone in your corner as you wait for reinforcements. At least you have your 2 babies and won't have to worry about custody. Please get therapy when and if you can, so you have someone to process this with. Ops comment. Honestly, he and my best friend are the best. After 4 months, I finally have time to rest and get help with my baby. Do you know how good it feels to take a 40-50 minute shower just to relax? I had been alone for so long that I thought it was normal to do everything by myself. Commenter 4. So basically, you quit your job to care for his mom and didn't get another job to raise yours and his children, so you had to rely on him for income. And now this who you gave up everything for his and his family wants to basically leave you nothing and doesn't even give a about his kids. That. I hope someone will give you the money for a good divorce lawyer. What a thing. Ops comment. My dad is going to pay for my lawyer, my mom is also supporting me financially, and my brother-in-law has also offered to cover expenses if necessary. What happened to OOP's Bill's marriage? The ex cheated and got pregnant. He had to rush through the divorce so he wouldn't be listed on the child's birth certificate. They were together since high school. Story 9. I hate my marriage, and it's my fault. My husband, 35M, and I have been together for 4 years. We have 1 young child together. I'm not happy in my marriage anymore, and I think it's mostly my fault. I changed a lot over the last few years, especially since becoming a mother, and my husband is the same guy he has always been. When we were dating, we were sexually adventurous, had threesomes and poly relationships, and basically lived a party life while maintaining respectable, professional jobs. I loved that my husband didn't judge me for being very sexually adventurous as other men had, and he didn't expect me to have a traditional housewife role. He didn't care if I cooked or cleaned and was fine with having a messy house and eating a lot of takeout. But as I've gotten older and become a mother, I find myself strongly desiring a more traditional lifestyle. I don't have any interest in sex with other people outside our relationship. And I want our house to be clean and comfortable. And I want to eat healthy, nutritious food. My husband appreciates all the cooking and cleaning I do, but it's not important to him and he doesn't help out. I am growing more and more resentful that I can't motivate him to do basic cleaning tasks around the house. It's not like I enjoy cleaning either, but I really want our child to grow up in a nice home. I also had to stop drinking and using all recreational drugs when I got pregnant, and I never started again. My husband still, in my opinion, drinks to excess and occasionally likes to go out and take drugs with his friends. When he does this, I get very angry with him. And his response is that I have the freedom to take a night off from parenting and do the same if I choose to. I feel like we have really grown apart and have very little in common these days outside of managing a shared household. I don't feel very close to him or emotionally connected. I don't look forward to spending time with him. When we have long periods of time together, like car rides, we don't talk anymore. We each put on headphones and listen to podcasts or audiobooks. In fact, sometimes we'll each independently put on the same podcast, but listen to it separately. When I noticed this, it seemed symbolic of the rest of our lives. We are so separate these days. Our sex life is okay, our finances are in good order, and we get along very well with each other's families. We went to counseling about a year ago, and things improved marginally for a very short time. But we ran out of things to talk about with the counselor, and the improvements disappeared quickly. What do I do? Do I stay in this marriage I feel indifferent to? I miss feeling in love. But I don't want to tear my family apart. TLDR, I changed into a Stepford wife and resent my husband for not changing with me. Not his fault, but I'm unhappy and don't know what to do. Some of Op's comments. Commenter. Is your husband bonded with his kid? Does he take them to the park without you and bath them and tuck them in at night? Also, are you working or are you a stay-at-home mom? It seems like many Sams have trouble finding interesting things to talk about since their world is so small, generally. Op's comment. I work full-time. My husband and I each have very demanding careers. I would say my husband and daughter have a good bond, but I get the impression that parenthood is a lot more work and less fun than he anticipated. I think perhaps he had an overly rosy view of things. He does love her and enjoy spending time with her, but not in the same way that I do. Op's comment. Before kids, date night could happen whenever. After kids, it takes more work to find the time. Figure out how to go on that drive. Make the time to be with each other. If you are listening to the same podcast, make a mini discussion, date afterward. I think this is getting closer to the crux of my feelings about all this. The housework, etc. is all problematic, but really I miss having any kind of closeness. It bothers me a lot that my husband either doesn't notice or doesn't care. Sometimes I schedule date nights into our weekly planner, and he spends the date playing with his phone or just being quiet. We had one good date night that I can remember in the last year. The rest have all been duds that left me feeling even sadder and lonelier than before. Commenter. You didn't change into a Stepford wife. You grew up. When you have a kid, it's no longer acceptable, IMO, to put your life, livelihood, and lack of a criminal record in danger by taking recreational drugs. It's no longer okay to eat shitty food and live in filth. Someone depends on you now, and you don't get night here, you pretend you're not a parent. Suck it up. I think y'all need a chore chart, and I think you need to share parenting duties better. I.e., for every night he goes out, you go out a different night. Every time. Which hopefully should give him an idea of what sacrifice means. And I think if he keeps taking drugs, you should seriously think about leaving him. Op's comment. I have gone back and forth about whether to reply to this comment because I have seen a lot of times on this subreddit, when OPs start to reply, they get downvoted a lot and eviscerated. I am really sensitive about this issue, so I guess I will just say, if you, General You, are going to respond, please keep that in mind. I don't have a thick skin about this. I just want to clarify a few things. First, we didn't and won't ever live in filth. The cleaning issues are more things like keep all surfaces clear and wipe down with a cloth every day. Put dishes straight into dishwasher instead of piling up for a few days. Laundry every 1 to 2 days instead of every 1 to 2 weeks. And the recreational drugs aren't like shooting up heroin. More like getting together with his friend who has an Adderall prescription and taking Adderall and smoking weed and drinking whiskey while playing video games. I think it's kind of immature and lame, but I wouldn't leave him over that issue specifically. I understand your point about me going out too, but I don't think it really solves anything if I make a point of going out each time he does, just to keep score. He does spend time with our child when I ask him to, or when I have to work late, or when I have actual plans. Not plans that I make up to keep score with him. But for the most part, I don't think he enjoys parenting the way I do. And our parenting will always be imbalanced for that reason. I do it because I love it, and he does it because he has to. But for the most part, I don't think he enjoys parenting the way I do. And our parenting will always be imbalanced for that reason. I do it because I love it, and he does it because he has to. I don't think it should be imbalanced for that reason. Frankly, I don't think it matters why either of you parent. For the sake of said child, I think it's important that you both do equally, period. I don't think it really solves anything if I make a point of going out each time he does, just to keep score. I do. I think he needs to learn that you both work, you both need friends, and you both parent. And one parent has to sacrifice so the other can go out. And that ought to be equal. And he will, I suspect, be more egalitarian about leaving you to go party when he is forced to understand that it comes with the price of being left alone to parent an equal amount. Ops comment. I think maybe I'm not communicating well here. I don't have a problem with him going out because it's a sacrifice for me to stay home with my daughter. I love the time I spend with her, and that's not a sacrifice at all. I think the reason it bothers me when he goes out and does drugs is deeper and more emotional. It feels like he still has and likes and wants this old lifestyle that I'm not part of anymore. I don't even really want to be part of it, but it still feels bad knowing that he does. I understand your points about trying to make things fair with exactly equal numbers of nights out and exactly equal amounts of time spent parenting, but I just don't think relationships work like that. I think it becomes very toxic to bean count and spreadsheet each other like that. Commenter. It feels like he still has and likes and wants this old lifestyle that I'm not part of anymore. I don't even really want to be part of it, but it still feels bad knowing that he does. He might feel a sort of abandonment too, and that things were easier when you were both living your life in that style. Do you think he's receptive to going back to counseling? These issues don't sound unresolvable, just not well communicated and discussed. Ops comment. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. He has said he misses the old me. He would definitely go back to counseling if I asked him to. The last time we were there, it got to a point where there was a lot of dead air, and I think we both felt like it wasn't that productive anymore. What brought you two together? You really only described the freedom he was comfortable with and that you fit all right in each other's lives. Ops comment. Honestly, a lot of what brought us together was partying and having sexual adventures. That's the main reason I brought it up in the OP, although I think people have misconstrued this to mean that he is partying so much now that it's interfering with his parenting. I worry that now we just don't have anything in common, although that's more just the pessimistic, frustrated, lonely part of me talking. We still have similar interests, read the same books, listen to the same podcasts, work out together, and similar goals. We own a business together, are working toward buying a house, have a great plan for retirement, and similar parenting philosophies. I will try asking him the questions about where we'll be in X years. Those are good questions. Commenter. On a final note, have you considered hiring a housekeeper? It sounds like you could afford to do so, and it would probably save you time and help you feel less resentful if you weren't solely responsible for housework. Ops comment. Yeah, from the replies here, it is starting to sound like a housekeeper is a good solution. If I am really honest with myself, I have felt a lot of pressure to have it all and to show that I can manage my career and house, and that has made me reluctant to hire professional help. But if throwing some money at the problem will really help, I think we should just do that. Ops comment. Before we had our daughter, we talked about ways that we could continue to do the things we were doing. Occasional recreational drug use, polyamorous relationships, etc. in a way that would be safe and responsible. For instance, we have a responsible parent policy. If one parent is using recreational drugs, including alcohol, or takes a sleeping pill, or does anything else that takes them out of commission for parenting, that parent has to clear it with the other parent, and the other parent has to be the responsible parent until the other one is back in good shape. We also had a plan that every week there would be mom's night out, dad's night out, and date night for mom and dad with a sitter. The reality is just so different. The competent, professional sitters in our area charge a minimum of $15 per hour with a 4-hour minimum, which is not a practical expense to have a weekly basis. I don't think either of us can get it together to go out for a recreational social event every week. Update, 2 days later. I did not expect to be posting back so soon, especially because I didn't do anything. But I think my husband was also feeling the distance and the tension between us. Today, I snapped at him over a minor household issue, and he asked to be alone in our office for a while. While he was in there, he reorganized the entire office, a massive project, and took care of filing about a year's worth of paperwork that had just piled up. He paid some bills that were my responsibility out of his personal account. We use the his, hers, ours system for our finances. And he balanced my retirement portfolio, a project I've been putting off for way too long because it stressed me out. Then, he went out to pick up some dinner. And over dinner we talked about a family vacation we want to take together soon, which he offered to plan and pay for. As soon as he walked out of our house to pick up dinner, I broke down in tears. I think it was just the realization that he has his own way of showing he loves me, and sometimes I get so absorbed in my own thoughts and feelings, and so burdened by the weight of my responsibilities, that I don't even notice how much he does. Anyway, sorry this isn't a more dramatic update. I can see now that my husband and I need to work more on connecting with each other, but we are both still in it to win it. And even though he sucks at showing it sometimes, I know he loves me and is devoted to our family. TLDR, my party animal husband balanced my retirement portfolio for me, and it was the wake-up call I needed to realize he does love me and we can get through this rough patch. Edit to add, to everyone commenting and sending me private messages, telling me that I'm spoiled because I don't work. I have a demanding and successful full-time job. I work as many or more hours than my husband and am an equal contributor to our finances. Shame on you for assuming that. Because I'm a woman, I don't work. Some of Ops' comments. Editor's note, keep in mind these were written in 2014. The discussion around 5 love languages was less nuanced. Top commenter. I'm glad things are looking up for you. I didn't read the earlier post, but have you heard of the book, The 5 Love Languages? It basically presents this theory that everyone shows their love through one of 5 ways. Languages, and that so many problems in relationships, especially pertaining to he doesn't love me, do anything nice for me, etc., can be helped by understanding your partner's love language. I seriously think both of you should read it and talk about it. I also think that you both should consider at least a couple sessions of marital counseling. Ops comment. Thank you. I have actually read the 5 Love Languages book, and really, my husband and I have similar languages, so everything was hunky-dory while we were dating. I think he tends to get in ruts where he starts taking our relationship for granted and he isn't using any of the love languages. And maybe I do the same thing too sometimes. I think the trick is to just keep trying, keep talking, keep letting each other know how we feel, and not getting swept up in the tides of work and parenting and everything else that can so easily overwhelm and subsume simple acts of love and kindness toward each other. Commenter. Side note. I think hope. The reason people are assuming you don't work is because you use the term Stepford wife, which to my mind means stay-at-home mom who does nothing but cook and clean and polish her silver all day. Ops comment. That's fair. I guess I overreacted due to all the PMs telling me I should kill myself and my husband should divorce me. Also, this is a problem I regularly have in real life. Almost everyone my husband and I meet assumes I don't work. My job is super important to me and a huge part of my identity, so it is hard not to take offense. Story 10. My wife's traumatic childhood is killing my marriage. I've 46M been married to my wife, 45F, for 20 plus years. We have 3 teenage kids. Until recently, I would have said we had a wonderful marriage. But as I look back, I think out of pure love and obsession, I've been looking at things with rose-colored glasses. We met in college. Her best friend went to the same college as me, and that's how we met. She had a tough upbringing. Her mom was very young was she born, and her parents were never married. She didn't meet her biological dad until she was in her 30s, which is a story for another day. Her mom isn't really a good person, and they are no contact with one another. Until my wife was a teenager, she shared a bedroom with her mother in her grandparents' house. They were more like sisters. When she a teenager, her mom got married to another awful person. She had an affair with a married guy. Eventually, he got divorced and married my Mael. He had 2 kids who were slightly older than my wife. Imagine what that was like. Merged 2 families with teenage kids. Their dad cheated on their mother and then shacked them all up in one house. I can't imagine. There are countless stories of the horrors my wife went through as a child. Her mom told her she should have aborted her, tried to push her out of a moving car. There were smacks and slaps. My wife was never complimented growing up. I have never heard my Mael compliment my wife. My wife was always smart, did well in school, didn't get in trouble, helped around the house, cooked for her family. She was and is very pretty. Her mother only criticized her, and it was constant. As if that wasn't bad enough, she was sexually assaulted in college by some friend of her stepbrother. To say that this has taken a mental toll is the understatement of the century. I have loved her with every sense of my being, have supported her in her therapy. I am by no means a perfect husband, but I have tried my best to be supportive and loving. Anyway, fast forward to today. I've been married for over 20 years. My wife obviously has a lot of issues stemming from the above. I love her more than anything in the world. But it hasn't been easy. I've borne the brunt of some pretty outlandish treatment. And I'm wondering if I have been blinded by love and if this is not a safe and healthy environment for me. I don't know if I could ever leave, don't know if I could do that to her or do that to my kids. But I'm starting to feel like I am only here to serve the purpose of providing support. Financial, emotional, physical, parenting. Here are some of the things that have happened. About 5 years ago, we had gone to a beach location for a long weekend with a lifelong friend of mine and his family. It was an all-around great time. One night, while we were leaving an amusement park, we were walking with the kids for ice cream. We walked past a bar and a baseball game was ending. My friend and I say to the wives that we want to grab a drink and watch the end of the game while they get ice cream next door. Everyone seemed fine with it. This is something I never do. My friend and I were gone 20 to 30 mins. When we got home, my wife lost it. Couldn't believe I abandoned the family for a half-hour tops while they ate ice cream. This was the first time she hit me. She punched me 4 times and threw a chair at me. I was shocked. This pattern escalated over the next few months. She slammed the shower door on me, breaking it and effectively trapping me naked in the shower. If she hadn't brought me a screwdriver to remove the shower door, I'd still be in there. Right before the holidays in 2019, 4 months after this hitting started, my wife had a disagreement with my daughter. My wife made a mistake and said something she shouldn't have. It should have been easily fixable with a quick apology. But my wife turned it into WW3 with my daughter, which I thought was unnecessary, but my wife and I put up a unified front with our kids and addressed things later. After my daughter went to her room punished, my wife and I went into our room. I tried to calm my wife down, but apparently she wanted me to match her level of outrage, and my wife unleashed the fury on me. She punched me countless times. I ended up with a bloody nose and cut beneath my eye. I am over 6 feet tall and a pretty fit guy. My wife is almost a foot shorter than me and maybe 80 pounds lighter than me. I sat there and let her punch me countless times. I remember being frozen and also being afraid. I didn't even want to grab her hands out of fear I would be blamed for the fight and arrested. She was unhinged, screaming as she pummeled me. It was awful. It was really fun to coach my daughter's basketball game with a badly bruised and cut up face the next day. After this, I freaked out. I realized the situation had gotten way out of hand. My wife apologized profusely. I said I couldn't go on like this. Our kids heard the commotion, and we later had to talk to them about it. I told my wife this wasn't safe for me. She had a near breakdown out of fear I would leave her. She discussed with her therapist. we went to couples therapy for the first time. It was a mess. I've come to realize that therapists, or at least the ones we have seen, focus on the patient with the most needs. Given my wife's past, she has the most mental health issues, and so that is where the focus was. It was really hard to be put on the back burner. COVID came and the couples therapy stopped. We tried again last year, and that was worse for the same reasons. What else has this marriage been like? Well, we've always been very sexually active. My wife is very beautiful. She gets attention anywhere she goes, although she usually seems oblivious to it. I sometimes feel infatuated with her, but she grew up with a mother that hated her and constantly took her down. I have always complimented her, her beauty, her intellect, how wonderful of a mother she is, how incredible of a cook she is, how incredible of a hostess she is for holidays. She's amazing in so many ways. I think I'm good looking, but nothing special. I'm in good shape, but I'm going bald and I've aged. Most people would say this guy is punching above his weight. I was good with this for a long time, but I think as I started to feel somewhat insecure as I aged. I'm not particularly vain or anything, but I looked for reassurance from her about my physical appearance. For the first time in my life, I felt insecure. I almost felt embarrassed. She didn't come through for me. Quite the opposite. She had never really complimented me about my appearance our whole relationship. Maybe she's just brutally honest, IDK. One night after we were intimate, she told me how small I was. This was a completely unsolicited comment after 15 plus years together. I think I'm average down there. I have measured myself and I'm just under 6 inches. I always thought she was pleased, so hearing a complaint in that department was quite a blow. She later admitted she said it to hurt me out of some sort of anger. She wasn't even sure what she was mad about. She's tried to walk that back, but it's been tough. Not long after that, I asked her what was physically attractive about me. I was just looking to feel better about myself. She told me there was nothing. Those were her words. And she was kind of shocked that I was taken aback by that and hurt by it. Hey, I asked, so I guess I deserve it. She's tried to walk that back a lot over the years as well. Around that time, we went to dinner and I sort of said, hey, I'm over 40, and for the first time ever, I'm feeling anxiety and stress over work, the kids and life, etc. I asked if she could try to be more supportive and caring. She said no, that she was a good wife already and was providing support already. She couldn't do anymore. We actually talked through a lot of it. I expressed how it made me feel. She apologized for what she said. She's actually way more giving of compliments than she has ever been. She has improved there, but it feels forced. Only being said because I asked her to. Doesn't always feel sincere. I have discussed it at length in therapy, and I'm basically good with my appearance and what I cannot control, but I still think it was unnecessarily mean of her. My wife has a massive fear of abandonment and has massive trust issues. She regularly accuses me of cheating. I have been nothing but faithful. I have to travel some for work, on average about 3 days a month, some months more and months less. She regularly wakes me up in the middle of the night to FaceTime to see if anyone is in my room. There has obviously never been. One night last year, I had to travel to give an important big presentation. Had to give it first thing in the AM. I prepared for weeks, and it was stressful. I am presenting the work of my team, so pressure is on me to show the good work everyone has done. My wife and I spoke around 10, talked for about a half hour, and I went to bed. At 2 a.m., I woke up to banging on the hotel door. She had somehow convinced the hotel manager, huge national hotel chain, so I'm not sure how this is compliant with their policies, to check on me because of an emergency. I realized I had maybe 10 missed calls and maybe 30 text messages from her. I had been asleep. So we FaceTime, we confirmed there is no one there in the room with me. She wasn't sorry or anything. She was mad that it took her so long to get a hold of me. I was now wide awake and had to give this presentation, then had to work a full day, attend a work dinner on basically 3 hours of sleep. My wife has always been insanely jealous of other women. My first boss after college was like 4 years older than me. Her husband worked at the same company. My wife hated her, I guess because I would talk about her. She was the person I worked closest with. I basically gave up any female friendships that I had, not that I was particularly close with any other women. One thing that was a particular issue for her was bachelor parties when all my friends were getting married. She hated the idea of me going to a strip club. Okay, fine. I don't particularly enjoy strip clubs. Nothing against the workers there, but I just see it as they just want my money, and I don't need to pay to see a really attractive woman. So anyway, neither of us had strippers or anything like that at our bachelorette parties. I had a great time at mine. We played golf, went to an awesome dinner, and then gambled afterwards. Anyway, some friends of mine did go to strip clubs for their bachelor parties. I always told my wife. And she wanted me to attend. I offered to skip that part, but I don't think she wanted to be seen by my friends or the other wives as controlling or a stick in the mud. I really don't know. But she wanted me to stay in contact the entire time. It was a little over the top, but I did it. I would literally text her nearly the entire time I was there. Describing the situation, just talking about the night, not sure why I even went to that part of the bachelor party. This happened 3 or 4 times. When I got home, I got the 3rd degree. She examined me, smelled me, examined my body for evidence, examined my underwear. It was crazy. Before the last one, I said, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to go. But she didn't want that. She wanted to go and stay in touch. She promised to back off some, but she didn't really. At one point, a bouncer came over and told me to put the phone away when I was texting. So I did. I guess he was worried I was taking pictures. No, I wasn't taking pictures. I was staying in touch. Typing this out makes me realize how ridiculous it was. All of this would have been no big deal. These bachelor parties all happened over 10 years ago. Recently, she was talking about her BF's bachelorette party, which was years ago. My wife was the maid of honor. She had always insisted that she never went to a strip club ever. Well, recently, my wife said something about the men pulling her friend up on stage and embarrassing her. I was like, where was this? Even in that moment, I wouldn't have cared that they went to a strip club. I trust her, or until all this, I fully trusted her. She insisted this was at a typical bachelorette party restaurant that wasn't a strip club. I don't know what that is. Does anyone know? I said that it felt like she wasn't being honest. She was offended. I said that I thought that the real issue was that she thought I might have put her through the same thing she put me through. I said I didn't like it, but it was so long ago I don't really care. But she doubled and tripled down. So she goes to the other room and texts her BF and comes back and hands me the phone to show me the texts. She asks the friend, did we go to a strip club for your bachelorette party? Which seems like an odd question to ask someone out of the blue, and the responses seemed odd. So I asked my wife, is this the full text exchange? It feels like something is missing. So I look in her deleted texts, and sure enough there are deleted texts. I restore it, and the response from the friend is, oh, that is a definite yes. So I look at my wife shocked. I don't even know why she went down this path. She says her friend is wrong. Now I'm annoyed and I'm asking what happened that you would lie about this? What did you do? Horror stories about bachelorette parties are running through my mind. We have an argument over this where I am gaslighted to hell. Doesn't remember. Her friend is wrong. That's why she deleted the text. She didn't cheat or do anything wrong. All the comments about her level of attraction to me come back to my mind. No real resolution, but she promises me that she will figure out exactly happened. Fast forward about a month to a holiday party we went to. We see her BF for the first time in a few months. Of course, they talk a lot amongst themselves, which is obviously fine. We leave and 20 minutes later, we are in the car driving home and she gets a text. It's from her BF. It includes a screenshot from one of their other friends and the BF text says, wife and I just cannot remember what we did for my bachelorette party. Do you remember? And the response is this whole description of a comedy show that they went to. The entire thing is so contrived, it's almost comical. There is no way this is true, and it is so clear that they discussed this at the party we were just at, and they came up with this plan. I feel so manipulated. My wife is in the passenger seat, and she is almost giddy reading the texts and saying how they have now solved the mystery. I have no idea what happened at that bachelorette party. But the whole story and the lying was so unnecessary. She's still holding firm to her story, whatever it is. I wouldn't have even cared if they went to a strip club because I trusted my wife. But this story has made me lose trust. And now all the abuse over the years is coming back to me and making me see things differently. Have I ever been loved? Is my wife capable of love? Did she cheat on me? Am I the world's biggest fool? I love her and the family we have created. Obviously, there are so many positives to our relationship that I didn't list. But can all the positives in the world make up for all this? Edit. First, all comments in the DMs have been so caring and kind. Even the ones trying to smack some sense into me. There is a lot of love out there from kind strangers. Thank you. Based on an exchange in my DMs, I'm sharing that the physical abuse did stop 5 years ago. She worked with her former therapist who specialized in CBT, and she is more in control of herself. I'm not sure she fully acknowledges the pain this has caused me and the kids. And all this other nonsense has continued. I'm not sure this changes anything for me, though. Update, 6.5 months later. Wife's disclosure. I posted several months ago about my 20-plus year marriage and how much nonsense I have put up with. People mostly gave harsh but good advice to me. I wanted to give an update and come back for more advice. This is long, so feel free to skip of the ramblings of a middle-aged dad of 3 aren't of interest to you. So back in February, I insisted on a 2-month separation. We told the kids I was traveling for work, and when I was home, that my wife was traveling to meet friends. My wife hated every second of the separation. I had some conditions for returning. We tried marriage counseling again, 3rd counselor. This one was better, I guess. But my requirement was that my wife take the lead. Find the therapist, give all the backstory on the abuse, the insults, etc. She did all that. I further insisted that she tell the complete truth on anything inappropriate that has ever happened with another guy, including at her friend's bachelorette party. This took a while. At first, she held to the same story. Then she started saying things like she was working on it with her therapist, working on how to tell me. She somehow didn't understand that a statement like that was awful for me to bear. Obviously, my mind went to all the worst places. I ended the separation in April with the idea she was making progress. We discussed her physical abuse of me a lot in therapy. The abuse really peaked in late 2016-2018. She told me at that time that she became very resentful of me. I had gotten a promotion, and she overall felt everyone thought I was awesome, and she was jealous. At the same time, she got into excellent shape. She's always been very attractive, but at that time, my youngest was like 6 to 8 years old, and she still had some baby weight. She shredded that baby weight and looked incredible. I guess I had gained some weight around that time, and she thought she didn't get enough attention or credit relative to me. I don't know. She says these things very matter-of-factly. She did a lot of CBT work and specific work for abusive partners. She owned it with the kids, and we had several good conversations. I thought we were turning a corner. I had been frustrated by the lack of disclosure on her friend's bachelorette party. So in June, I said I was leaving again. She actually handled this much more calmly and maturely. We still saw each other and even did date nights. We were even intimate. Not sure what the separation was. So she said she would focus on what happened and was getting ready to share anything and everything with me. A couple of weeks ago, she asked me to join a session with her therapist. She wanted to do a therapeutic disclosure. I wanted to throw up. I go to the therapist's office and she proceeds to tell me how at her friend's actual bachelorette, they went to some show, no strippers, just drinking and silliness. Then she says that her friend's work friends threw her a bachelorette at a hotel. And there were strippers there. In my wife's words, it was wild. Now, context for this is in my prior post. I really don't care if she saw strippers. I care more about the double standard she applied and the lying, as she treated me like crap whenever friends of mine went to strip clubs for their bachelor parties. She said that she never touched any stripper, even though multiple approached her many times, at first in G-strings and eventually fully naked. Lovely. But that's all that happened. Who knows if it's true? I don't care anymore for reasons I'm about to get into. This is all in front of this therapist. So then she says that I asked if there was anything with any guy that she hasn't told me. If this wasn't long enough, brace yourselves. She had this other friend who was in the middle of a divorce in 2016. Friend was a fitness instructor at a gym. Friend met a retired professional athlete at the gym. I remember the friend being obsessed with this guy, all while technically still married. Well, my wife and this friend would go out and meet up with retired athlete and his entourage. My wife would effectively play wingman for her friend. And one of the entourage took an interest in my wife. My wife claims nothing ever happened other than flirting, but that when they were out, this guy always had his arm around my wife, constantly groped her, often tried to kiss her, sent pics, bought her a thong bikini for her to send pics back to him. My wife said she never wanted it, but never fought it, liked the attention, and mostly wanted to support her friend. Friend eventually had a falling out with the retired athlete who moved away. So that whole thing sucks. So I'm completely stunned. Wife is crying. Therapist is spewing some nonsense about my wife's bravery. That I requested disclosure of anything that might have been remotely inappropriate, and she has come through for me. I leave. Wife follows. Phone starts blowing up. It's my wife's best friend who calls 10 times. She then starts texting me, swearing to me that what my wife is saying is true. There were strippers at box party number 2, but wife did nothing. Texts start pouring in from her other friends confirming this story. And then I get a text from her friend who paired up with the athlete. And she confirms that story. Wife was only doing her a solid, taking one for the team. So great. Let's get a few more people involved in my life, my humiliation, the crumbling of my marriage. She could talk to all these other people about all this, but not me. She needed a therapist there to talk to me about it. It just feels like one big manipulation. So anyway, I feel completely done. I still love my wife, because I guess I'm just a simp. We are separated. I've spoken to a lawyer. My kids know and are furious with me because I am the one leaving. Be kind to your partners, people. Love them and respect them. I adored my partner and still do, but it wasn't enough. And that's all. Thanks for spending your evening here. If you like those stories, click the video on screen for more like that. Bye.